Hello, my name is Sylvia Patterson and I am an ADA coordinator in the Office of Equity, Diversity, and International Affairs at the University of West Florida. This year is the 25th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, also known as the ADA. During the month of October, which is also Disability Awareness Month, the Office of Equity, Diversity, and International Affairs will celebrate this milestone in history by offering educational insights about the ADA. The following video features people on campus and in our local community talking about how the ADA has brought a positive change in their lives and what those changes mean for the future. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Erica Wallace, and I'm the Multicultural Communication Coordinator in the Office of Equity, Diversity, and International Affairs. Now, most people look at me and don't assume that I have a disability, but I do. At a young age, I was diagnosed with arthritis in both of my feet, which led to bone deterioration. Because of this, I had a major surgery to help with my walking to ensure that I could get around in my later years. The ADA impacts my life every day because of my ability to park closer. I have access to buildings and it prevents me from having pain in my feet from walking longer distances. I see the future of ADA just really expanding upon access, not just in people with physical disabilities, but also those with mental illnesses and other forms of disability. So I'm really excited to see how the ADA continues to shape and form for the generations ahead.
My name is Spencer Blomquist. I'm a business major here at the University of West Florida. I was injured approximately 7 years ago in October of 2008 due to a gunshot wound in an attempted robbery. I've currently spent the past 7 years attending school and trying to pursue my career in marketing and logistics. The first time I heard about the ADA was probably after my injury, where I really actually learned what the ADA was and how it will affect me for the rest of my life. The ADA has provided many opportunities for me to attend school, pursue a career that I thought were not possible when I first was injured. There are several guidelines that the ADA lays out for people so that I do not always have to advocate for myself and explain to them what my injury entails and what's required of them to provide for my injury. There's many other things that the ADA has outlined that helps me out. As far as technology has played a big role in my life. It allows me to perform daily activities that normally are taken for granted, such as simply turn on light switches or opening up a textbook. I have currently been volunteering at the West Florida Rehabilitation at West Florida Hospital, and there are constantly newly injured patients there as well. And on a daily basis, I get to share some of that information with them that I have learned throughout the years of about the ADA and what it entails. For the past 25 years, the ADA has provided Americans with disabilities an equal opportunity. And I see in the future that increased awareness will hopefully educate the general population a little more about Americans with disabilities and provide more opportunities for people that are in similar situations as myself.
My name is Tanya Ellis, the Marketing Director for Escambia County Area Transit, ECAT, the bus system. The first time I became aware of the ADA, the American with Disabilities Act, was back in 1997 when I was diagnosed myself with narcolepsy, which is a sleep disorder. When I found out that I had the sleep disorder, I still was not familiar with what the ADA was or what it could do and how it protected me for normal services. I was going to the University of West Florida. I was also working full-time. I did not know where to go to get additional information, so I went to the Disability Center at UWF. They were extremely helpful in informing me of what my services that they have available for students with disabilities and about ADA. They also gave me information about resources that I could utilize in my day-to-day life to help cope with having a disability. Through that, I was able to graduate from the University of West Florida with my marketing degree and went on to pursue a career in marketing. Since then, I have been able to get a job at ECAT, the bus system, as the marketing and mobility assistant back in 2004. And since then, I've gotten promoted to marketing director. And part of my job that I love dealing with ADA is that we deal with ADA transportation. We help people get transportation and get access to transportation services. We utilize Pensacola Bay Transportation and now Escambia County Community Transportation. And folks that are in a wheelchair or that have other visual impairments, we're able to educate them on how to use the bus system to become independent, to get a job, to go to school. And it's a rewarding feeling having a disability to help someone else with a disability. I really enjoy that ADA has impacted my life, not only personally, but also in my career. Where do I see ADA in the future? I know right now ADA is having a 25th anniversary of being a law, and I think that ADA has a lot more to go. I think people still are unaware of the impacts of disabilities among people, and that you don't have to always see the person's disability for them to have one. And I think as long as we start to educate people and have them understand that we're all people and we all want equal access to services, that I think we can go further along with ADA in our community.
My name is Frank Cherry. I'm the Executive Director for the CIL Disability Resource Center in Pensacola, Florida. I first became aware of the ADA when my daughter was born, who is Down syndrome, and needed the services of the Association for Retarded Citizens, known today as ARC Gateway. And now she lives at the Women's Training Center during the week and come home on weekends. The impact that the ADA has had on our life, I couldn't summarize all of it because there's many facets. Starting when I was at the White House for the signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act and saw the impact of people with disabilities in employment, what they were doing, and people judging them on their type of disability. If they were a wheelchair user, if they had a sign language interpreter, if they were using crutches, or well, they couldn't do this job or they can't do that job, without just looking at the resume and determining what a person can or can't do on the resume. Do I have a knowledge, skills, and ability to perform the job that's written in the resume? Don't look at the wheelchair. If the resume says that, look at the person and give them an opportunity to get their job. With my daughter using a wheelchair, I'm pushing her quite a bit, trying to get into stores when the force of the door you can't hardly open. Getting out of the car, using a lift, a wheelchair lift, and somebody coming in and parking their motorcycle, or just leaving the shopping cart. Another person with a disability brings the shopping cart and leaves it in the access aisle. Well, the next person coming in who has a lift on their van or their car, they can't even get out of their car because you left the shopping cart there. And the same way when I come back from the store bringing her back to the car, I have to move the shopping cart, but I can't move the motorcycle if it's in there, so I have to wait for people. Just education. People with disabilities need to be educated, and those without disabilities need to be educated. Handicap parking is very important to people with disabilities. We provide all kinds of services for people with disabilities, regardless of age, income. We give wheelchairs, potty chairs. We loan all types of equipment. In my job, every day people come in and they leave crying of happiness because we may have a device that enables them to hear, that they don't have $4,000 to spend for a hearing aid, but we have a device that we give them that now they can hear, and their spouse crying because I can hear my husband or hear my wife. Every day we have incidents like that of just giving people a shower chair so they can take a shower, and they haven't had a shower for a month because they're physically not able to get in the tub or the transfer bench, transfer into the shower. These kind of things we give people. We loan people and we refurbish equipment. It may not be new, but it's workable. In the future, ADA, I think, will have it continues to have an impact on everyone's life. If you stop to think about it, if you get old enough, you're going to need some of the services of ADA. So why not insure yourself now by the elected officials and the county commissioners looking at ADA whenever new buildings are constructed, whenever new parks are constructed, because it's going to benefit their families and their children afterward.
My name is Sherry Myers, and I work at the Center for Independent Living Disability Resource Center. I'm the Advocacy Outreach Coordinator, and I first became aware of the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, in 1991 when I was the director of a legal aid program here in Pensacola, Florida, and my job at that time, of course, was to make sure that our facility complied with the Americans with Disabilities Act. Now, the Americans with Disabilities Act applies to people who have disabilities that substantially limit one or more daily activities. In my case, I have multiple chemical sensitivity, which means that it's very difficult for me to be indoors, especially around perfume, scented products, cleaning products, and that type of thing. So actually I had to give up the practice of law because it was very difficult for me to be out in public. So the ADA, however, has provided me with the legal right to seek accommodations in order to work and in order to access government services and so forth. So in my job, I'm able to have a very flexible workplace. Also, here at the Center for Independent Living, we have signs posted outdoors and indoors alerting people that they should not wear perfume, cologne, bring air fresheners and scented products inside the building. That's sometimes a very difficult policy to enforce because we're dealing with the public. So I'm able to work from home. The center provides me with the resources I need to be able to work at home or any place else I need to work because I have computers. So the ADA has had a tremendous impact on my life personally. As to the future of the ADA standards for accessible design to the built environment is always evolving. And one of the areas that it needs to evolve is in the area of indoor air quality. The United States Access Board is the federal agency that designs the standards that are enforced ultimately by the ADA standards for accessible design. And the federal government knows that the indoor air quality is a huge problem for people with various types of disabilities like chemical sensitivity, asthma, environmental illnesses. In the future, I believe that we're going to see indoor air quality standards that will apply to air quality in the workplace and in government buildings, because a lot of people, millions of people with these types of disabilities need access the way anybody else needs access to the built environment. So I think that that's one of the areas that the ADA will have an impact on. It's already having an impact on air quality, actually. The ADA offers a way for people with disabilities to be integrated into society, to have equal access to opportunities, regardless of what those opportunities are, whether it's recreation, employment. So it is the most powerful civil rights act ever enacted on behalf of people with disabilities.
My name is Diana Tift. I work here at the Center for Independent Living Disability Resource Center. I've been here now for about 5 years. I work in the Florida Telecommunications Relay Incorporation, and I'm the coordinator there, and I'm also the Center for Independent Living Inventory Management person. I take everything from telephones and equipment. When I learned about Americans with Disabilities Act, well, I started learning in the community and breaking down barriers and how to open up for accessibility to jobs in various places. I grew up in New York City, and I went to a deaf school the whole time I was being reared. And I noticed through that time there's been several changes throughout the years. The Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, has impacted my life a lot into accessibility for work and into doing anything in normal day living. Since I've moved here to Florida, the vocational rehabilitation told me, well, you can't drive. You're not going to be able to go to college. And I thought, that's funny. So I had to confront my own obstacles and show that I can drive. I went to college and I got my degree. Well, Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, has helped so many people in their lives to open up those and break down those barriers and providing assistance, accessibility into restrooms, captioning for movies. Everything has had such a huge impact, and it has opened up a lot of people's eyes. And I hope in the future that it will continue to improve with ADA.
Hi, I'm Danny Broxson, and I work with the CIL Disability Resource Center as the Independent Living Skills Coordinator / Volunteer Coordinator. And the ADA has had a significant impact on my life as somebody with a physical disability. I was born in 1970 with cerebral palsy, and that's had certain mobility issues and limitations. So it has affected my life in the sense that not just parking, but accessibility into buildings and access to programs and different things. I think the most significant impact of the ADA is that it raises the level of expectations for all people with disabilities. There's no more glass ceiling, and you know, the sky's really the limit with the opportunities that we have. And the challenge for people with disabilities and even for people without disabilities is to raise that level of expectation for people with disabilities. And take those challenges and turn them into opportunities. And that means a lot of different things for a lot of different people. It could be an opportunity in employment, an opportunity in education, an opportunity to be an advocate for people with disabilities. But I think the future of the ADA is bright, because as long as we continue to work together and to educate people, both people with disabilities and without, I think the future is bright. I think the key is education and educating people to know what the rule is, to know what the law is, and to continue to talk to people, to help them understand that they may see somebody with a disability, but the first thing that they see is not, or does not have to be, the last thing that they remember.
Okay, my name is Don Rizavy. That's R-I-S-A-V-Y. I'm an independent living specialist at the CIL Disability Resource Center. I worked here for 12 years now, or fixing to finish my 12th year. I'm an independent living specialist and peer counselor. I work with all peoples with disabilities, primarily the blind, as far as helping them with their independence in their everyday life. As far as the ADA, it's allowed me to, of course, be employed. It also allows me to have accessible transportation, able to access different places like restaurants. There's also things available out there like Braille menus, and of course lots of audio devices like I use here in my everyday job, as far as a screen reader called JAWS that I use that allows me to use the computer, because of course I cannot see the screen because I'm totally blind. As far as the ADA in the future, there's lots of things that it's going to be really great for, and in fact every day something new comes out, especially like the devices that talk, like my iPhone down here on my hip. Apple's constantly coming up with new things, or is Microsoft trying to stay behind or stay up with them. So I mean, it's just wide open as far as what's available.